was just in here earlier. Oh, let's look. Let's go digital technologies. I'm just click that off, Let's go. I'm going to go year 8 on this one. Yeah, so I may be for year 8. I am going to be focusing on acquiring, managing, and analyzing data. Yeah. So I'm going to have this outcome. I'm just going to do this for a second. Where's this one? I'm going to go Violet. Why can't I type? Anyway, just copy. Just have to give it a moment. There we go. My computer had just had a little go at everything. So I'm just going to go Control V. I don't want it to be blue. So let's get rid of that. We don't want these things to be blue. Get rid of that. And I don't also want it to be italic either, because I don't like that. All right, but I'm going to have here, I'm going to go year 8. I've just chosen digital technologies. I'm just going to put that there, and then I'm going to have this. Can I copy that? Yes, I can. Perfect. And as I've said, when you are copying your curriculum outcomes, it's word for word. Yeah. So here, that's what I want to see. Yeah. Now, I've got no idea what I'm teaching because I've just made it up, but I would also have, I'm going to have this one. Oh, I might have this one as well. Let's have both. Okay, I'm not going to do this whole thing for us. I'm just showing you how it can go. Oh, yeah. So you'd have those in there. I would also have some of the ones that I've decided on when I've decided on my project. So I'd have, what am I doing? I'm not going to have that one. I'm going to have this one. And maybe that one. Yeah. Are we all with what I'm saying so far? I'd make them all the same text and everything. I don't know why my computer's just having another little freak out. There we go. Yeah. So we've got these in. And actually, what we don't need to do is have it like, I can just have it like this. Yeah, because you've got all this space, so you might as well have them. And maybe I will even do this. There we go. I'm going to have, that's not all my unit outcomes, because if you recall from looking at the breakdown, you're probably going to have 4 or 5 for a 4-week part. But make sure these are going to be matched in what you're doing. Okay. Now, I haven't come up with a great name for my unit yet. It depends what data I'm going to be analysing, but you can just come up with a name there. Okay. And the indicative time is it's going to be, I'm going to have 4 weeks, because that is how long our program is going to be, isn't it? 4 weeks. Yeah. And I think if you look at the breakdown in a minute, that is going to be roughly 16 lessons. Okay. How do I know that? Because down here, boom, 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 we have this, and we are going to copy this 4 times, because you're going to have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and there are 4 spaces in there. Okay. Does that make sense? Now, a lot of this information as well is in a video that Monique's made that's in the assessment folder. Has anyone had a chance to look at that yet? Yes, you do need to make a unit plan for 4 weeks. Great question. How do we know that? Why don't I have, let's just open up Blackboard here. I must have it open somewhere else. Oh, I've not even logged in. How poor is that? Oh, it's here. I already had it here. Okay, that is a great question. The password for the video is written in there and I couldn't copy it out. So I will show you, okay? First things first, assessment. Assessment 2. Okay, the video is the password, sorry, is there, the D+, but you can't copy it, so you have to type it in. Okay, it does work though, I did try it earlier. The assessment brief. Great question. 4-week plan. Yes. Okay, oh look. This time it says it quite clearly here, years 7 to 10. And it says first 4 weeks of a termly plan. Okay, so it's the first 4 weeks. And if you watch the video, that's really good because that means the first lesson. Does anyone know what sort of things you're going to be doing in the first lesson? You get to introduce the topic. You can get to know the class because it could be that this term's the first time you taught them. Yeah. So thinking like that, it is the first 4 weeks of a termly plan. Okay. So, and there is quite a bit of information on here. These are your learning outcomes, not the ones you're going to match. Yeah. So part 1 is going to be a 4-week termly plan. And that's what we're talking about at the moment. Okay. Yeah. Yes, that is exactly what you, yes, I was trying to say that's perfect. Knowing your students, that is exactly what you're going to do in the first part of that unit. Now, this is the one. So everybody, your context, the unit title, you can come up with your unit title at the end. Do not spend ages worrying about the title of your unit. Rather than planning your unit. You can come up with your title in the end, okay? And we're going to look at some examples. You're going to do your curriculum alignment, okay? So here we go. I've just put 3 here. Yeah, we'll look at the unit title later, but Karishma, definitely last thing to worry about, okay? Because once you've got all your content, a title will be easy because it'll be about what you're actually doing. All right. So leave the title till last. You've got your curriculum outcomes. Here it says 2 to 3, but I think it says 4. So I'm just going to change that. I'm going to change that to 4. To 5 is 4 to 5 is no, I'm going to change it to 3 to 4. I think that 5 is too many to try and do in 4 weeks. Okay. And then you've got your breakdown of what you're going to do each week. This is just to help you plan. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? What's the main purpose? Once you've decided on that, then you can go through on some of these things. You can start to think about your assessment opportunities. Yeah. So in Monique's one, she did like, she's got this Miro board and all these things she's trying to make sure that she includes in her planning. I've tried to put it in a document for you that you can work in like this, okay? And just look at these. So this has just got some parts, yeah? And we're going to look at all of these as we go through today. I've added some examples for you, and I will try to add more. Have I spelled curriculum wrong? The curriculum, that's not. No, it is not 4 different topics. Brilliant question. So I hope I've said it right. Adity. No, it is 1 topic and it is continuous. Yeah. So you are showing progress, that they are linked as we go through. Okay. So great question. So you could be doing, it's the first 4 weeks, so you're probably not going to finish a project, but you're going to have like those first stages of a project. Yeah. Not 4 different topics. Okay. All right. What is the most important part that has the highest weighting in this assessment? Because we're all good learners here, you can see in your rubric down here how it is broken up. Oh. Here we go. There's a Word document. I've downloaded it before, and you will see 25% is your, let me just get rid of that so we can make this bigger. Yeah, this is what you all need to, 2 things. First thing, you're creating an assessment task, so you need to be familiar with rubrics, but also please make sure, I can't make it larger on here, but you read this, yeah? Because the difference between this and this is what I use when I look at your work, yeah? So you need to read the task, okay? And you need to go through the rubric. I was just reading the AI for this. Oh, that leads me to a whole new thing. Okay, everybody, please listen to me. I've never seen this before. So Turnitin now has this LLM model where it identifies parts of submissions that are not only similar to other things, but that look like they've been created with AI. Now, obviously, this is a very flawed process because nothing can completely detect if you've used AI or not. However, you should make sure that with your, not so much with this task, because it's going to be lesson plans, it's going to be very fragmented, you're going to have to make it all yourselves anyway, but please make sure when you're using anything that you put it back into your own words and you just use little bits, because I use Grammarly for everything as well, but we have to make sure that we modify it and that it doesn't come up on these things, yeah? Because this time they ran it through this checker, so I know that we saw a lot of different issues with this across the board. Right, back to our assessment tasks. So we're looking at this. This is your live planning template. So that is this. Yeah. So this is where you're going to put your 4 weeks of planning in. Now, this is a lot. Sorry, my gone. You're going to add your general capabilities here. So we've talked about that. Literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, personal and social capabilities. I've forgotten the other one, but there's a few. You're going to put those in there and you can see where those were in the curriculum and the syllabus. Cross-curriculum priorities. So this is Asia and Australia's place in Asia, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and sustainability. You do not need to have everything in there. Yeah. You just need to identify a few. So it might be that sustainability is an easy one to do. It might be that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ones are an easy one to do. Like it fits in with what you're planning. You don't just put them all in, okay? Just put in the ones that are relevant. Over the course of the year, students will do all of them in different parts. You can't meet them all in every lesson. Does that make sense? And so over 4 weeks, you won't be identifying all of them. Yeah. This part, if you see some of these, you can tick them. This is a lot. You could try and think, but this could help you with some of your planning, these words, which we'll look at later. These give you some ideas of how things work. Yeah. What sort of things could be numeracy? What sort of things could be literacy? Okay. Remember, a key part of literacy for technology is subject-specific terminology, okay? And that's providing students with a word bank or a list of words that are relevant to that topic, okay? So with design technology, it might be quite easy. If you're making something, you've got measurements, they have to work out calculations on different sizes of things. Perfect. Literacy, keywords and terms that are specific to technologies. Now, in here, you can change the name of this. This can be your differentiation. It can be your alterations. That's fine. So in here, I would identify your EALD or your NCCD, any adjustments you're making. Okay, so you might want to call it adjustments. That's up for you. Here in this section, for you as well as for me, you don't need to have the whole, like I don't need that every time you're meeting it. Okay, it is okay just to use this and have where you're meeting that. Yeah. So if you're doing that in this lesson, you can just put that in. Okay. I don't need the whole description every time. Okay. Now, when it says elaborations, so if I was doing DAD1, let's go back here. Oh, here. Why does it not come up? Oh, here, right. If we were looking for, no, there we go. Yes. Oh, there isn't really an elaboration for that one. Okay. However, this one's got some elaborations, some examples. Yeah. So you might want to use that one. Oh, is that the one? WAG. Oh, maybe. Here we go. Yeah. So WAG. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get rid of the bullet point. I don't need the bullet point on the. There, just to make it. Yeah. So we can use part of that. And then you're going to break down your tasks. Okay. You might have also in here, you might have literacy, you might have yeah. Or if you want, if it's easier for you, you can use the icons. Okay. So you could just like I don't know if we can copy that whole bit. No, because it's not a text-based, but you could, like, digital literacy. Oh, it even gives you some more information there. Okay, so this will help you with like identifying parts of what you're doing. Okay, so these pages are going to become your best friends. Yeah, and you're going to look at how you're going to put it all into the results. Okay, so let's just go back to the assessment task for a moment. Oh, why? I'm going to have to look at it on this bit because at least it goes bigger. Right. Unit of work. Lesson materials. All right. So this is, have I got the, right, it's not in there again. I think I downloaded this earlier. I'm sure you've all looked at it. So you're also going to create a lesson plan. That lesson plan should be from one of those 4 weeks. Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose the lesson. Here's the lesson plan template. Yeah. So you're going to choose one aspect from here. So once we start to break it up, you will pick one of these lessons and you will go to it in more depth. And that means that you will include the timings. So if it's a 55-minute lesson, which we're assuming it is, I think it says that on the plan. Yeah, 55-minute lesson. So here you would have like 0 to 3. And it says here, this bit you're going to copy from the unit plan. And this bit, your resources, you should already have that in the unit plan. Okay, but this means that you're going to be able to go into more depth. So what are you going to do for the first 5 to 10 minutes? What are you going to do for the next few minutes? What are you going to do at the end? So this should come up to 55 minutes. And we talked about this before. We talked a little bit about how you'd have, it's like a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you've got your beginning, you've got your introduction, yeah? And it is quite all right to have here at the beginning your routine that you have at the start of every lesson, yeah? 0 to 5 minutes, everybody comes in, sits down, they get out whatever they need to get out. Like it could be a laptop, it could be a planner, it could be their project notes, and you're doing the register, the roll, okay? So you could be taking attendance. That is fine because that is going to be pretty much the first 5 minutes of every lesson you ever teach, yeah? You might be just drawing their attention to the learning outcome, the learning objectives of the lesson, you know. So we could be using, for those of you who've heard of this before, we are learning to, what I'm looking for, like your learning objectives. You know, by the end of this lesson, everybody will have, or some people will, most people will, everybody will. Okay, so you've got those targets that either displayed on a digital board or you might have to write them on a whiteboard. Okay, so that can be your first 5 minutes for every lesson forever. And your last 5 minutes should always be, it might even take longer than 5 minutes if it's a practical lesson. So if you had tools out or if you had them designing things and things out, it might take longer than 5 minutes to clear up. But you want to clear up and you want to get them settled before they leave. Maybe you've got an exit ticket that you want them to do before they leave. Yeah, maybe there's a quick question on the board or something that, or you're just doing quick fire questions for the learning of that lesson before they leave. Okay, so your start and finish can always be pretty much the same for every lesson you do. always taking those things into account. Right? So you've got 4 weeks of lessons. They build on each other. So by the week 4, the lessons are more complicated. You need to include an example of formative and summative assessment. You need to have a full lesson plan for one of these lessons, yeah, that are from your weeks. And then you're also going to need to do, so you've got your full lesson, and part of that lesson is your teaching resource, okay? And these are linked. So it says here, these 2 items must be linked. So your teaching resource is something that you're going to use in this lesson, okay? It's going to be something that you're going to use in this lesson. And that's the 3 things that you're going to be submitting, okay? All those together. So it says here, like, use APA referencing if required. This is most probably not going to need any. You can have a reference list at the end. So if you've used, I'm just going to flick through some of the things to do. You are going to include this website on your referencing, okay? Now, one moment, because I saw this for a few people. Which one do I use? APA. Here we go. All right. So I always use this site. It may not always be the best, but it generally works pretty well. So, because I saw on a lot of your work that someone, I will talk more about the teaching resource soon, don't worry. I saw in a lot of your work that you had people had cited things and had no date. All the curriculums have a date. Yeah. So if I go in and I copy this URL and I go into here and I put it in, because it's a website. If it was a journal or a book or a video, I'd put it in the other space. It's going to give me this, yeah? And I'm going to select that. And so that gives me how I would use this citation, okay? Yeah, I can share that website, just a sec. And then in text, obviously it's huge, so it's a bit awful, but you can see that it was 2026, okay? All syllabus documents have it. There are lots of these websites. I'm studying at the moment as well. I use this one. I'll just put it in the chat. There you go. That was off task. I apologize. We are going to come back and look at the references. What we are going to do first is we are going to look, where are my samples? Yes. I've given you a few samples because, you know, I love to search the internet and go through and find things. So here are, for those of you who don't remember, so I linked this site that has some ideas, resources and lessons, okay? This is for the UK, so you would need to adapt it to your thinking, but it'll give you some ideas, okay, about what you might want to teach, okay? We are not copying these, but we can steal the ideas, yeah? So what if, I'm trying to think, oh, look, functional prototypes. This is a bit like I was talking about, but we want one for year 7, don't we? Is communication, has that got networking in? Oh no, this is like 3D. So this one's more design technology. Let's have a look if we can find key stage 3. Computing, cooking and nutrition, design technology. I'm just going to go in this one for a minute. So this is on the Padlet. Okay. So you've got one that's here. It's about, here's data modeling. Thank you. I've spent quite a lot of time on this Padlet, I have to tell you, Rahul. I'm glad you like it. I've been going through. So you can see here, this one's about data modeling. So this one could be a little bit linked to this one. Analyze and validate data to draw conclusions. Yeah, I'm not saying it is, but it will give you ideas. Okay. And it's got some ideas of what you can do and what things look like. Now, what I actually wanted us to look at are, so I've given you these links about approaches to assessment. These are both New South Wales websites, but they're really good, and they're for new teachers. They're there to support you with doing them. Now, I did another one earlier. Must be here. I think I shared the link. Right, here's a technology mandatory one. So this one is a year. This is a year, is it 7 or 8 sample project. It's from the New South Wales one. The reason I wanted us to look at this today, okay, so we can see engineered systems. So in the one we were looking at earlier, I pulled out the data ones. And here's the name of their one, Rubber Band Racers. Okay, so the name of your unit will come to you once you've decided on it. Your overview, which is here, yeah, that's the part that is going to be in your rationale. Yeah, so that's going to tell them what it's about. So let me just make this a better color because I can't see it. It's yellow. All right. So here's some examples. You're putting it in context. Yeah, you're telling somebody what it is. The purpose of a teaching unit like this is that another teacher could look at it and know what you're doing. Okay. So this one I've picked out today because it has some bits about, I think I did try to, I will look in a minute. It has some bits about adjustments. Yeah. So this one actually has a full student's case study. You don't need to read that. I'm pretty sure I did put it somewhere in the Padlet today. And you go through. So this one's 10 weeks. We don't need to worry about this. And this is their assessment opportunity and the evidence of learning. There's the outcomes, exactly like we would have, but obviously these are New South Wales ones. Now, here, they've got all the bits about what they're doing, you know, and you can see here, they've got these little, can you see those little emblems? They're the cross-curricular priorities, I think. You know, so they've used those instead, and they've got little symbols. But here, can you see it says adjustment? So it's given the adjustment in there. So here it's got like what's happening, like outline the content of the unit. This is exactly what I was saying to you at the beginning. Yeah. You're going to talk about that, and you're going to talk about what the assessment is and what that, like, you're going to tell them everything in the beginning. You're going to tell them again and again, but you're going to introduce it in the beginning. And then here's a little bit. So this is almost like diagnostic. Yeah. Trying to find out what students know and put it in context. What are engineered systems? What are some examples? Yeah. And then you've got here an adjustment for people who don't know, key terms with visual supports where possible. Okay. Now here it's got like a presentation. You do not have to create all these resources. You're just saying what the resources are. If there's a website, you put the website in. Yeah. But you don't need to create only the resources for the lesson that you're doing. Are you going to create? This has got a lot of details in. Yeah. You're probably not going to have as much detail as this, but this can give you an idea. Like you're saying, look, provides scaffolding. Yeah. Okay. So there we've got, now this is for a specific student. I will find that page for us again in a moment. But as we go through, yeah. So we've got some ideas, some class discussions, some things that might happen. So this is like a real teaching program. If you went into a school, you might get something like this, and it would give you an idea of what you're doing day to day. Okay. Your lesson plan is going to be more in depth. Okay. So your lesson plan is going to take part of this. Like maybe it would take, let's have a look. Like this part here. Oh, sorry, I've taken it. Identifying and defining. Yeah. So maybe you're just going to look at identifying and defining, and that might be one whole lesson. Okay. And you would break that down. All right. Now, where is the, oh, I think it is on one of these. Sorry, I'll go through. We'll come to Bloom's taxonomy later. Now, what I wanted you also to think about is, let me just see if I can find that page again. Is when you're designing your resource, you want to make sure that you're designing it for your student. Okay, so it needs to be something that's attractive to them. All right, so let me just use that resource again. So if we were in, I'm trying to find where I found that. I'll just find this Word document for you so I can link it back for you. Yeah, right. Sample. Oh, here it was. Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to add this into the Padlet for you, because this sample has the adjustments in. I really thought I'd done it. Adjustments. You have to go into the page and download it. Page. Perfect. There we go. I could have done it somewhere else. Who knows? So that'll give you access to that. Obviously, it's a different curriculum, but it gives you those ideas for what we're doing and how you're going to go to it. So now you have these couple of different things to look at and to work through. Now, when you're talking about assessment, and so it doesn't have to be assessment, but your teaching resource. So, for instance, here we go. If you were on this teaching unit here, if you decided to do a resource for lesson 1, okay, or for your first lesson, then you could have an introduction to the unit presentation. Yeah. So maybe you're making a presentation that you're going to have up on the whiteboard behind you that is going to be for the students, that explains to them what this whole unit's about, what the next 4 weeks is going to be for them. Okay, so if you would do that, okay, or you would create, here it says worksheets. Yeah. Maybe you're going to do a worksheet that's about engineered systems. Okay. Or I'm just going to find another example later on. Because there are actually some that we could use. Look, here we go. Perfect. Design technology. Yeah, you are not going to design the safety tests because they're all official and online and designed by someone that the schools pay for. However, maybe you do have some information about the tools. Yeah, maybe you're going to make a presentation that introduces the students to all the tools and has a worksheet for them to identify them. Okay, that's something that you could do. Does that help you think about resources? Because I know that was a question, wasn't it? Yeah, we've got the website. Yeah, your teaching resource. So that's one of the questions we had was, can we elaborate more on your teaching resource? Now, if you also recall, while we are in here, I think it's in teaching. Brilliant. I'm glad that helped. Okay, and you recall that we are in here. So this is design technologies. So if you go into year 9, and here we have the food technology specialists. So this will help you as well. Like I said, there aren't lots of examples for WA, but it will help you. Yeah, look, here's their unit title. What's the unit title on this one? What's their catchy, what's it going to be called? No. Does it give us a title? What's it say? Come on. Fast and fresh. Yes. So there you go. You've got your specialization, if you wanted to do that, and then you've got your unit title. Like I said, unit title last. It will come to you in the end. And also don't worry if you could call it something really, you're not being marked on the title of your unit, so don't worry so much about that. But these will help you. Okay, so here you've got some ideas of the lessons, and you've got, look, they've got the thinking skills that we've talked about before, because these are basically the same for design technology and digital technology. Okay, you choosing these, and that's the part from there. Here's some learning intentions. So do you remember how I spoke to you about, particularly in your lesson plan, you're going to have clear learning intentions. All right. So your lesson plan is going to need to have learning intentions. You might have the preparation. So in this one, if you are going to be doing something like this, maybe this would be your resource that you make. Yeah. Like slides on nutritional needs of teenagers. You can't do the small food samples for this one because I won't be able to mark that. Yeah, but it could be, it's not always going to be a presentation, but it might be a presentation. It might be an information sheet. You might make an infographic for them. Yeah, something that's going to link to the lesson and help their learning. So here, show images of popular fast food items. Well, there's your presentation, isn't it? You've got slides of junk food just to show everybody. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a short break between now and just about 25 minutes. Well, we're going to make it 27 minutes past. I'm just going to go on mute for a bit, and I'm going to leave you thinking. So everybody have a look at some of the things on the Padlet and go through the assessment task. Okay. Oh, thank you for sharing it again. I was about to do that, but you've shared it for me. Thank you. So go through the assessment, have a look at that. I'll see if that poll I did at the beginning worked. And we will be back here at 27 minutes past. Okay.
Can I ask a question, Emma?
Oh, yeah, you can ask a question. Speak up, though.
I just want to confirm whether this unit is assessed based on the overall mark. I mean, more than 50% overall, or each assessment needs to be passed individually.
I think it's overall.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm not 100%, so but I can find that out for you. But I think it's the same for all units.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's the same for all units. So yes, it has to be like it's the overall one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So if anyone had a mark that was a little bit lower on the first one, the first assessment task was worth 40%. The second assessment task is worth 60%. So if you didn't quite get a pass or you didn't get the grade that you wanted, your other one can pull it up. Yeah?
Yeah, because I didn't see this information on Blackboard in the unit outline.
Yeah.
It should be there, but in this unit, I didn't find it.
Okay. Well, you can like email me and I'll have a look for it for you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right, everybody. I'm just going to mute and stop the video for a bit and I'll be back at 27 minutes past. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome back. So, first of all, before we go on any further, I found my results from the poll that I did at the very beginning. So just for those people who joined a bit later, just to review where we were at the start. So I could see that most of you were either starting this assessment task or hadn't started at all. So I'm hoping that what we've gone over this evening has helped you start to understand where you're going to start from and what that is going to look like. Okay, so that links in to the next part was, have you chosen your curriculum area? And essentially there we had like 50-50, yes, and people not being confident. So I'm hoping that the majority of you are confident now, and you know that you are going to choose either design technologies, and you're going to choose your year group from here, or you're going to choose digital technologies and your year group and your area from here. And we'll all be using the WA curriculum. Okay, so for those people who didn't feel confident before, I'm hoping now we're feeling a bit more confident. Is everybody confident about choosing their curriculum area now? Hopefully. Yes? No? All right. Yes, we've had a yes. Right. Generally, it needs to be WA if you are one of the people studying in WA. Okay, so if you are not currently based in WA and you're going to be in another state, then you do not need to use WA. If you are one of the WA students who's on the list through that I'm working with from Perth, use the WA curriculum because you need to use the curriculum for the state that you are going to be teaching in. So for the majority of you, that is WA. And that is why in this workshop, this tutorial, we focus on the WA curriculum. If you are in another state, then the other tutorials will focus on that as well. Yeah. But if you are living in WA, if you are studying in WA, then it is best that you learn the WA curriculum. A question? Yes. What is your question?
Hi, Ima.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks as well. I have a question regarding design technology and the digital technology. As we are doing the information technology and processes, information process and technology. So, I have a question. So, do we stick with the digital technology, or we can go for the design
You can
technology?
go for the design technology if you want.
And so which years we can focus on, the 7, 8, 9, or
You can do
either?
7, 8, 9, or 10. Now for WA, all
Yeah.
of those are basically through this filtering system. Yeah. So this is I'm in digital technologies. So if I wanted to do year 9, I could focus on year 9. The reason I recommended year 7 or 8 is because as beginning teachers, they're kind of an easier group to work with because you know that they're new to high school. So you know that they haven't done much of these things before. Whereas if you plan for year 9 or 10, you have to know like where they'd be at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you for that. And one more question. So as we have done whatever we have done in the previous assignment, so do we need to link with that one, or we can choose
No, that's a great question. Good question. No, you do not, because You can, if you want to, you can, but you do not have to, because for some people, maybe assessment 1 wasn't as clear for them, and you didn't have like a clear purpose in your mind. So for this one, and for some people, they chose like not so much that it wasn't WA, but some people chose curriculums that were from other states, but which were old ones that don't exist anymore. So that's why I really want us to think about making sure that the majority of people in this tutorial tonight are based in WA. So you're going to be able to go on and use the WA curriculum.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I can see. Yes, right. I'm going to answer the Able WA one in just a second. So I will answer that one in a second. The word count. The word count is 2,000 words, and I'm not sure what, because normally I would say that nearly all of it is counted in there, but as you can probably work out, 2,000 words isn't very much. So things that are definitely not included in the word count are, is this the, right, things that are not included are definitely most of this for the top bit, yeah? So I would disclude this part. Normally, I would include the rationale, but because this is so small, your curriculum priorities, your outcomes, they don't count, okay? The main parts that count, none of this, is going to be this part. So your weeks, your 4 weeks worth, are going to be included in your word count, okay? Obviously, usually your rationale would be included. So if your word count's really short, don't worry about it. We'll include everything, okay? But it's probably not going to be. The bulk of it is going to be, for your word count, is this, the 4 weeks that you plan, okay? So the 4 weeks that you go through are the bulk of your 2,000 words. Your resource doesn't count in your 2,000 words, but your lesson plan. So it's your lesson plan, the 1 lesson plan, and the 4 weeks worth of lesson outlines. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, it's a very tricky one otherwise. So everything except for obviously the titles in here, not the blue and because also I'm just going to talk about this. Can you please make sure that you've got rid of all this stuff that's like, these are all hints. They do not need to be in your work, okay? So please do not, like, make sure that you've got rid of all the bits that tell you what to go in there. Okay, right, we've got that one. How do we get more information on activities? Your activities are going to be things that you're going to come up with, okay? So you're going to have gone through them by looking at some of the samples that we've provided. There are ideas on there. There are also, if you remember, you've got some ideas in these pages. So this is the one for design technologies, and there's one for digital technologies as well. So when you go into the teaching section, there are some ideas of lesson plans. Please do not use a whole one of these. Yeah, use this as a prompt, as an idea, but don't completely copy this. You need to do parts of your own, okay? So the activities that you do, you'll be thinking about those. So in your last assessment task, you talked about group activities, collaborative learning, working in groups, breaking things down. If you're doing a design project, you're going to have like idea sketching, they're going to do research, then they're going to design them, then they're going to be measuring, doing the measurements, then they're going to be cutting materials. So you might also have the safety. You do not need to design the safety tests, but if you're doing anything to do with tools, the safety tests are going to be in there. Have a look at all of these examples, okay? Just because year 5 isn't a year we're covering doesn't mean you won't get ideas from these, okay? Now, just one second. I also had some more information here because this was a question we just had as well. So it's saying that the Able WA program is one that will give you like better ideas. So when you go into here, and you go into, let's just go back into our filter. I'm just going to go stage. Right. So in here, if you wanted to do, I'm assuming that year 7 could have parts of these. Yeah. So it's got that they examine the characteristics of technologies from one of the technologies concepts. So you know that you're going to be planning, if you were doing year 7 or year 8, you would be doing, I'm in design technologies, and you would be choosing one of these. Yeah. So if I went for food and fiber production, okay, so it's giving you a bit more information about it. And it's like where they're going to be by the end. These are some of the comments that you could be using as you're doing your work. So exactly how you were saying there, Karishma, you were saying like, how will we know more about the activities that could be incorporated each week? So we've got some ideas here, like students follow a design process step by step and use tools when they're prompted. Or you could be starting to go this way. They're beginning to use sequence steps. We've talked about steps before, how you go through, how you're going to scaffold things. And then maybe the teacher direction about tools. So if you were doing tools, you would do the safety checks, you'd introduce the tools, you maybe have a presentation, then you as the teacher would be demonstrating to them what each tool is for, so they would be watching you. So this could be anything from the drilling to the sawing. Yeah, you're going to demonstrate for them. No, you see, when it goes through here, I think that was a misconception that we looked at last week, that the Able WA was about meeting the standards of students with disabilities. That actually now I've gone into it more deeply and we've just had a look. Was it here? Yes. It shows you here. So there's an assessment tool. And it was actually developed by the Victorian. Oh, look. So actually it goes across different areas of the cross-curriculum priorities. It's because that and this and these are cross-curriculum priorities. Okay, so you can have a read through here. This is on the site as well. And we've got a getting started with. For the moment, you don't need to know this part too in depth, but obviously if you are in WA, oh, here's a great one. What you need to know. So this would be about how you assess them. And it is A to D within the P to 10. So if you were doing year 7 and 8, it would be those middle ones I would go for. So I wouldn't get too caught up but you do need to have a look at this. And that is on me. I do apologize, because I think last week someone said that and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But no, it is an assessment tool. Oh, what's it say on that? Is this website, isn't it? Let's have a look. Oh, hang on, we got two conflicting information. Yeah. High quality targeted classroom programs. So it isn't about meeting. Yeah, it is about enhancing resources. It is not about meeting lower level students. That I said, that was my mistake last week. Now we've gone through this and we can look at this week. So excellent work, everybody. We've found some things out. You can use these to support your planning, but you don't need to be, don't worry. I get confused too, because I see all the curriculums as well. So this is something as a teacher, and once you go into schools, this will help you, and this will help you really target your assessment. But for now, be aware of it and use it when you're doing your planning. So you can be in here. Yeah. So if it's A, B, C, D, I would be saying that D is like where you're kind of aiming in 9 and 10. C would be 7 and 8. B would be like 5, 6. And stage A is probably like 3, 4, because I reckon the very younger years don't have one. Okay. So if you were looking at year 7, I reckon this stage is where you're probably aiming at, stage C. Okay. And that's what we just read in the other chart. Okay. So just one second. Right. So we've talked about resources and how we're going to think about our resources and our plans and what you want them to do in class. So for instance, let's go back to this one I was in earlier. Is this? No, I was in. Oh, we're just in design technologies at the moment. Let me just go back. So I'm going to technologies. I'm going to design digital technologies, because if you recall earlier in my plan that I had here, I had chosen year 8 digital technologies acquiring. So I'm going to go into here, into the Western Australia curriculum. And I'm going to go into here, just because this is where we were before. I'm going to filter. I want year 8. I'm going to take those off, but maybe I'll put stage C on. Right. So here, this will help me with the things that they're going to do. Now, just how, oh, I see the able one has actually taken off. I'm getting rid of that. There we go. I'm just putting this on for a minute. Right. And I'm going to choose from here. So examples are data based on it and how I'm going to make trends and predictions. Okay. So let's have a look. Oh, and look at this. Critical thinking and skepticism should be employed when counting data from unfamiliar sources such as deep fakes. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever seen any of those ones where you have to try and decide if a video is real or if it's completely AI. Because you could use things like that in the classroom. So you're looking at these. So you could look at how are you going to use this in your spreadsheet data? So where would be good places to get data from? Okay, and here we've got some other examples, and we're going to go through here. Now, let's have a look. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to go oh, sorry, I've got my what have we got? Here we go. Oh, look, this is for me. I would love this. I don't know if it's suitable for students, but look, data detectives. So you can find parts out, yeah? I'm not suggesting that you copy them, but let's find out where we go. So let's have a look. Crime, W-A, that. Crime statistics. Perfect. But also the Australian Bureau of Statistics has quite a lot of data. So you might be able to find some data stats to use with them. Obviously, crime might not be the most practical one to use with year 7, but it could be, there might be some looking at how it's used. So these are some ideas, okay? It is okay to use the internet to come up with ideas and to get ideas and to find out what's going on, okay? What's not okay is for you to have a complete one that's copied off here. But here we go. Oh, look, this is from the website I've shared with you many times, the digital technologies. Here's some sample assessment tasks. This is about livability in a city or town. So this one is V9 of the Australian curriculum, but it's got some ideas. Yeah, you would be linking this too. Let's see what sort of things we're going to do. So you can talk about things like structured data. This is a fantastic way of getting them to collect data or think about it, you know, breaking up name into first name and family name or first name and surname, because if you have them together, like how you can talk about data and correcting data, there's lots of things around, okay? Different charts for ideas where they come from. This is something that when you're in schools, you'll be able to target to be more like focused on them and how they live. So here we've got some ideas, and you've got your content descriptions. Oh, you've even got sustainability there. Nice. And this is like an idea from an assessment planner. So have a look around. Also, oh, we'll go back to Google. Like you can have a look around. One of the things that I highly recommend you do, okay, is ideating, like having a think around, using things like using AI to give you ideas. Yeah. How could I teach data? What are my outcomes? I know that's the other outcome. Yeah. Ideation. If you were in a school and you're with teachers, you talk to other teachers. Yeah. You can talk to other people on your course, like, oh, have you ever seen how this is done? Yeah. How am I going to teach this to year 7? Okay. how can I teach this to year 7? What are data sets that are interesting to year 7? Yeah, this is the perfect place that you can use your Copilot or your ChatGPT. This isn't your assessment task. This is you coming up with ideas. Yeah. How can I teach this to year 7? Yeah. What I need to teach this to year 7. What are some ideas? What are some practical ideas for teaching this to year 7? Okay. Use that to help you ideate and come up with ideas. Then once you start to think, you find a topic, maybe it could be about food waste. Yeah. So actually, maybe year 8 are going to do 2 units that are connected. They're going to do one on food and they're going to do one on data. And part of that data is about food waste. And you could look for things from Oz Harvest or another Australian organisation that works with food waste. Okay, does that help? Does that help you come up with some ideas for resources?
Emma?
Yes.
So how do we decide which unit outcomes should we choose?
You decide on your outcomes. So if you're, first of all, choose your topic area. So if you are going to be doing, which one? You know, like I've said, I'm going to do this one. So I'm doing year 8 and I'm going to focus on acquiring, managing and analyzing data. Okay. So then I'm going to focus on this outcome and this outcome. Yeah. I'm also probably going to focus on this problem because I'm going to investigate a need or a problem. And then I'm going to look at different ways. So part of this could be covered, or maybe this one. Okay. Or alternatively, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do data representation. I know this is a super popular one with you all, right? So I'm going to do digital systems that represent image and audio data using binary. Yeah. Now this only has one outcome. So are you going to be able to do 4 weeks on this? Possibly not. Yeah. So maybe you would need to do a link. Maybe you would need to do something where you're talking about appropriate hardware and then graphics and gaming. And then maybe I'm going on to this. Yeah. Thinking about your topics. Okay. Or alternatively, maybe I'm going to do well, this one, ethical issues relating to the ownership of data. So I could do that with this one because we're talking about data. So these could be linked together. Yeah. Now, there could also be ones in here. So if you're doing data, maybe they've been collecting data and you've looked at that. I'll talk about that one in a minute. So we're like, you might be collecting data. So maybe they're going to design a user interface because, you know, when you collect information and it's in a spreadsheet and it's all in cells and rows, what if that was collected in a form like on Google Forms? You could think about user interface design. Yeah. So you're just trying to pick, I said on the thing, 3 or 4. Yeah. You want them to be linked in. Okay. So design the user experience design doesn't have to be linked in with algorithms. Yeah, that could be part of another one. But if you were doing algorithms, you are probably going to do all those three. Yeah. And remembering that this is the start of a term, so you're starting from scratch. So maybe you are doing the introduction to like programming and you're looking at these things. So you could have these three, and then you might have like looking at this, they're investigating a property or a need. That might be their final outcome. Okay. WA students this time, because there was, sorry, I'm just flicking back to the questions on the board, because there are so many of you, there's actually 88 in the group. And in the 5-day, 6-day turnaround time that we had, it was actually 7 days, but obviously, as you know, lots of people have special considerations to be later. I could only mark, I think I managed to do like 65 of you. So yes, somebody else did a few of you. If they marked you, you can still email me and ask the questions, because I can reach out to Ferry and ask him. Okay. Yeah. So if you have questions about assessment 1, please email me. I know tomorrow I'll probably have hundreds of emails, and I will get back to you, I promise. If you have any questions about the assignment that you really want answered before next Monday night, we're back on a Monday next week, then please email me. I am not able to look at like proofread or look at your assessments and complete. But if you have questions, please ask them. Yeah, put them into a question. The best way to contact me is through email. Okay, because then I see your question in full and I can answer you in full. For those of you, I've been through the discussion to look at the people who were putting in like where they were going to do their syllabuses from, and that people were starting to get really good use of WA. So it's good to see that we've been into the WA syllabus. We can now see for year 7 to 10, there are clear outcomes. So this makes it a lot easier. Okay, remember to familiarize yourself with everything that is in the assessment stage. So you've got the outline, you've got the plan template, and thinking about how your resource is linked to the lesson that you're planning. Yeah, and that your lesson plan is linked to your unit plan. Okay, so they're all together. There is this like the video walkthrough. Yeah, my email, oh, it should be on everything. You know, I'm going to be confused now. Just let me find it for you. I'm pretty sure it's emma.lord@scu, but I better check. Oh, for those of you who marked your work for assessment 1, my email is at the end of the feedback, so you can see it there. But for the rest of you, I am just finding it. Oh, yeah, I just saw it. And now I've got it. Oh, yeah, I can see I'm already getting some emails. It is emma.lord@scu. So let me just put that on the chat. I thought that was it, but I didn't want to get it wrong. So if you just type that in, it should be good. Perfect. I can see that some of you have already asked me some questions. That's perfect. I won't be getting back to you this evening, but I will get back to you tomorrow, okay? And give you some feedback. Okay, right. Night, everyone. Remember, email me any questions. I will get back to you. It might take me 24 hours, but it's going to be there, definitely. I will see you all next week for our last session. Bring your questions to the session as well. Ask your questions. Make sure that you're on the right track, okay? Remember, it is better to ask a question than to not ask it and not get a good grade as a result, okay? So Fantastic. I will see you all next week. Have a fantastic week. Good night. Bye.